June 20th, 1944, 0437 hours. Northern France, west of Suntley. Rain slams into metal like thrown gravel. Wind rocks the aircraft hard enough to blur the horizon. Thunder cracks close, sharp, and loud. A Republic P-47 Thunderbolt fights forward at low altitude, engine howling, propeller biting into wet air. The cockpit smells of oil and damp canvas. The pilot grips the stick with numb hands. His goggles vibrate. The clouds drop so low they feel solid. Below, hedgerows vanish under sheets of rain. German flak guns stay silent. Not because they are gone, but because no one believes an air attack is possible in weather like this. Lightning flashes. For a split second, the wing fills the cockpit window. The aircraft lurches. The pilot steadies it. He pushes on. Radio chatter is thin and tense. Short calls, no jokes. Everyone knows the risk. A stall here means death. A forced landing means capture or worse. Ahead, the target area waits, roads packed with vehicles. Supply columns moving because they think the storm protects them. The Thunderbolt drops lower. Guns are armed. The rain keeps falling. This mission is not an exception. It is part of something larger. Something the enemy does not yet understand. If you want more stories like this, make sure to subscribe, like, and share. The story begins years earlier, long before Normandy, in the lessons of early air war. In 1940 and 1941, German air power dominated Europe. The Luftwaffe relied on strict weather limits. Fighters and bombers operated best under clear skies. Clouds and storms grounded missions. Commanders planned operations around visibility and calm air. The United States Army Air Forces studied these battles closely. American planners expected to fight across oceans and continents. Weather could not be avoided. It had to be beaten. Aircraft design reflected this idea. The P-47 Thunderbolt was large, heavy, and brutally strong. It weighed over 7 tons when loaded. Its Pratt & Whitney 2800 engine produced more than 2,000 horsepower. The turbocharger allowed it to operate above 30,000 feet, even in thin air. 8.50 caliber machine guns filled its wings. Armor plate protected the pilot. Self-sealing fuel tanks reduced fire risk. This aircraft was not graceful. It was built to survive punishment. Training doctrine followed the same logic. American pilots logged long hours in instrument flying. They practiced blind takeoffs and landings. They flew in rain, fog, and turbulence whenever possible. Instructors drilled one message into every class. The mission comes first. Weather is an obstacle, not an excuse. By 1943, as the air war over Europe intensified, this mindset shaped operations. Fighter groups learned to escort bombers through cloud layers. Ground attack units trained for low-level strikes in poor visibility. Meteorology units improved forecasting, but they also accepted uncertainty. The goal was simple: fly when the enemy thinks you will not. Early efforts were rough. Accidents mounted fast. In 1942 alone, the USAAF lost thousands of aircraft to non-combat causes. Weather was a major factor. Young pilots underestimated storms. Many trusted instruments too little. Spatial disorientation killed more men than enemy fire in training. One report noted, pilots entered cloud without sufficient airspeed. Aircraft stalled. No recovery. In ferry routes across the Atlantic, storms were deadly. Crews flying from the United States to Britain encountered massive weather systems. Some were tropical storms driven north. Others were violent Atlantic lows. Aircraft vanished without radio calls. A maintenance officer wrote, "We lost 6 planes in 3 weeks. Weather took them. No trace." Combat units struggled too. Early escort missions broke apart in cloud. Bombers drifted off course. Fighters collided. German pilots mocked the Americans. One intercepted report quoted a Luftwaffe officer saying, "They fly like blind men when clouds come." There was also a belief among some American commanders that pushing weather limits cost more than it gained. Loss rates worried them. Maintenance crews worked non-stop to repair storm damage. Bent propellers, cracked canopies, water-soaked radios, yet the missions continued. Data began to shift opinions. When weather grounded German fighters, American losses dropped. Bomb accuracy suffered, but enemy movement increased in bad weather. That movement could be attacked. The turning point came from experience. Pilots learned the strengths of their machines. The P-47 proved almost impossible to break. Pilots brought home aircraft with cylinders shot out, control surfaces torn, and holes across the fuselage. The radial engine kept running even when damaged. The heavy airframe handled turbulence better than lighter fighters. Instrument training paid off. Pilots trusted artificial horizons and turn indicators. They learned to ride turbulence instead of fighting it. Flight leaders kept formations loose in cloud, reducing collision risk. Ground attack tactics evolved. Instead of tight dives, pilots used shallow approaches. They attacked roads, rail yards, and bridges by memory and map. 8.50 caliber guns delivered devastating fire even without perfect aim. A single pass could destroy trucks, fuel dumps, or trains. Range and entrance mattered. Thunderbolts could loiter. They could wait for breaks in weather. They could return safely when fuel ran low. Most important, commanders learned timing. Missions launched when forecasts predicted storms over enemy airfields, but passable conditions near targets. The weather became a shield. By early 1944, German intelligence noticed a pattern. American air attacks no longer stopped for storms. One Luftwaffe diary noted, "Enemy fighters appear regardless of weather. Our readiness suffers." The shock became real during the Normandy campaign. On June 13, 1944, near Carentan, elements of the 9th Air Force launched a series of ground attack missions. Weather was severe, low clouds at 800 feet. Heavy rain, gusting winds, 48 P-47s took off. They flew in pairs, navigating by rivers and roads barely visible through rain. German columns moved openly, assuming safety. A pilot recalled seeing trucks bumper to bumper. He radioed, "Targets everywhere." Flak crews reacted late. Guns fired blind. American fighters attacked in waves. Rockets slammed into armored vehicles. Machine gun fire shredded transport. German reports later estimated over 200 vehicles destroyed or disabled that day. Losses on the American side were light. 2 aircraft damaged. No pilots lost. Another encounter unfolded weeks later over the Ardennes. December 23, 1944. After days of snow and fog, a violent winter storm moved through the region. German forces advanced under its cover. Then the storm broke unevenly. American commanders ordered immediate airstrikes. The weather remained brutal: high winds, low clouds, freezing rain. Over 1,000 aircraft flew that day. Many through conditions German pilots would not attempt. P-47s and P-38s attacked supply lines and armor. Luftwaffe response was limited. A captured German officer later stated, "We believed the storm protected us. We were wrong." Perhaps the most dramatic example came far from Europe. In September 1943, an American ferry group crossed the Atlantic. En route to Britain, they encountered a full tropical hurricane that had moved north. Winds exceeded 100 miles per hour. Rain reduced visibility to near zero. Turning back was impossible. Fuel margins were thin. Pilots climbed to ride smoother air above the worst turbulence. Instruments iced. Radios failed intermittently. Formation broke apart. One aircraft vanished. The rest pressed on alone. After nearly 10 hours, battered but flying, most reached Britain. Ground crews stared at the damage. Torn panels, bent wings, salt-streaked canopies. German intelligence learned of the crossing later. An officer reportedly said, No fighter force would attempt such a flight, yet it had been done. By 1944 and 1945, the impact was clear. American air power operated almost continuously. Weather gaps no longer gave the enemy rest. Industrial strength made this possible. Over 15,000 P-47s were built. Spare parts flowed in massive volume. Training pipelines replaced losses. Pilots rotated and returned. Fuel consumption was immense. A single fighter group could burn tens of thousands of gallons a day. Logistics kept pace. The German system could not. The Luftwaffe suffered from fuel shortages, pilot attrition, and limited production. Their aircraft were excellent in clear skies. They were fragile in storms. Radar coverage weakened in heavy weather. Command and control broke down. Doctrine diverged. Americans emphasized presence. Germans emphasized conditions. The result was pressure without pause. Psychologically, the effect was crushing. German soldiers wrote of fear during storms. One infantryman noted, "Rain no longer means safety. The sky belongs to them." Pilots felt the strain too. A German ace remarked after capture, "We waited for clear days." They did not. American pilots felt pride, but also exhaustion. Flying in storms demanded constant focus. Many admitted fear. One wrote, "Weather scares me more than flak." Still, morale held. They trusted their aircraft. They trusted training. Late in the war, refinements continued. Improved weather radar aided navigation. Better de-icing systems reduced risk. Rocket accuracy improved. Tactics shifted toward armed reconnaissance. Any road could be a target at any time. By 1945, flying through severe weather was routine for American units. The final assessment is stark. Continuous operations strangled enemy movement. Thousands of vehicles destroyed. Supply lines shattered. German planning collapsed. A former Luftwaffe commander later said, "They fought the sky itself and won." The legacy is clear. American air power did not wait for perfect weather. It made the weather irrelevant.